and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you a compilation of some of my favorite fall gnomes for your inspiration. All of these are super easy to make. If you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Okay, for this one, we're just going to use a cone and some felt, and I've given you the pattern for that down below in both SVG and PDF. And we are going to start gluing this in down at the bottom. You want just a teeny little bit hanging over the bottom of the edge. And go ahead and get that glued in, and you can roll this up. This is a great pattern for this cone. You can use this for so many different gnomes. Just want to make sure that you don't have any cone showing at the bottom. Just kind of pull it around there so you don't have any cone showing. And then glue the bottom in first and then go all the way up to the top. And I'll give you the link for the cone that I'm using that this one fits. You get it on Amazon, but most craft stores have them. And that's going to be the front of the gnome. Okay, then we're going to cut our faux fur, and we're going to cut it at 2 3/4 inches wide by 3.5 inches in length. And then you're just going to kind of do a wide U all the way around there with a little bit more of a flat bottom there. And you're just cutting behind the faux fur only. And then just clean any excess off. I never comb through the Mongolian fur. It just kind of ruins the look of it. And I just take a little vacuum cleaner, kind of vacuum it off. And then I'm going to take a blow dryer. And if you take a blow dryer and just do this, it will fluff this fur up so much. Just kind of run your hair dryer through it both ways. And it really will kind of fluffen up your fur. Okay, next, to attach it, we're going to go on the side that we have the seam and just put your fur centered, the bottom part of your fur on that line. And then just pull it back and just glue it to the top part. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue down at the bottom, and then we're going to glue in the sides as well. Next, to make the hat, we're just going to fold over one side and we're going to glue the other side to it. Now start at the bottom and get it straight. You just want to go over just a little bit, but go ahead and do the bottom first, and then you can line the top up and then glue it up. Now again, this pattern is in the description below in both PDF and SVG. And if you're not familiar with SVG, because I have a lot of you saying that you print the pattern, it's a little bit smaller. The SVG is just for cutting machines. The PDF is for hand cutting. And then we're just going to put this right over the top part of our cone, and we're going to glue just the back part down. Just pull it down in the back, and we're just going to glue the back in. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and make the legs, and I'm just taking 2 pieces of fabric that are 2.5 by 5, and I'm just going to go ahead and fold over one long side and glue it down. And then I'm going to take the opposite side and I'm going to pull it over, and I'm going to pull this part over the top of that. So you're going to fold it over like into a third and then fold that side over. You're going to end up with an inch wide leg. Next, we're going to make the little booties, and I've given you the pattern for those. You're just going to glue around the outside edge, but not at the top, and just glue those straight together. These are super easy little boots. Not a lot involved with these. Since he's not going to stand up, you don't have to have weights and all that in them. Okay, next I'm going to take some trim, and you can use any kind of trim you want. I just had some of this kind of trim, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little piece to go around the boots and around the top of the hat, or the bottom of the hat. And this is about a 3/8 inch strip. And I'm just going to come around the back part of the hat, put some glue down, and I'm just going to start going all the way around until I get back to the other side. And then I'm just going to cut it off and unglue it a little bit over the piece that we started with. Yes, cut it off and then glue the other one over the top part of the other one a little bit and the fur will blend. Okay, next we're just going to add a little bit of stuffing to the little boots. And I'm just using some tweezers to get it started. Then I'm going to use a dowel stick to go ahead and push it all the way down in there. Just kind of give it a little bit of body to the shoe, a little bit. Give it a little bit of fullness. Just kind of push it down into the toe and then keep going till you get it not all the way full because you want to leave enough at the top to get the little leg in. And then we're going to do the same thing with the legs, and we're going to come down 2 inches from the top and just put some stuffing in it, just to kind of get them a little bit beefy. You don't need a lot of stuffing, but you can use a dowel stick to push it in, but you want to go no higher than 2 inches from the top. And then we're going to leave a little bit at the bottom so we can glue it together. Okay, then we're just going to add a little bit of glue down at the bottom and kind of pinch them together. Just at the very, very bottom. Okay, then we're just going to go ahead and attach them to our shoes. We're just going to go ahead and push them all the way down in there as far as you can. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue all the way around them. Just kind of pinch them together there. And just make sure that your seam is in the back. And we're going to do that with both of them. Okay, next we're going to take that fur trim and we're just going to go all the way around our shoes. And do that to both of them. Attach the nose, and we're just going to take a 15 millimeter bead, find your center point, open up your hair a little bit, and go ahead and just glue your nose in. Then we're going to glue the top part of the hat to the bead. Just a little bitty dollop of glue right there. Let's grab a pencil, find your center point where your nose is, and draw a line straight across here. That way we can get our legs centered on there. And I'm just going to take some straight pins to pin this in, and I'm just going to kind of put these at a diagonal. And you're going to overhang it about 1.25 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and pin these in 4 different places, kind of into like a square. But you want to make sure that you are using a pin that's a flat head. And you can glue this in if you want to. I just didn't want so much bulk underneath his body, so I did pin them in instead. Okay, next for some weight, I'm just going to take a 3/4 inch nut, and I'm just going to poke a hole down into the bottom of here and put that in. You are going to have to add a little bit of weight, otherwise he will tip over. Just kind of push it all the way down in there. Then we're just going to glue it in to hold it in place. And then we're going to cover all this up with a piece of felt here in a minute. And you could use a rock if you want to. Just make sure it goes all the way down in there so it is flat. And then I'm going to take a piece of felt And that's a 2 3/4 inch piece of felt. And I'm just going to cover up all the little pins I put in there, put some glue on those, and then put it on the bottom. And then we're going to pull all this together here after that dries. So just put a little bit of glue underneath the edge there and underneath the bottom edge there and kind of pull all that together, and then that will seal all that in. Next, I'm just going to add a little leaf that I had. It's a little wooden leaf, and I got those at Hobby Lobby. I'm just going to add that right to his hat. Okay, this one was actually one of my favorites from last year. If you do craft shows, these sell real well at a craft fair. This one I'm using a 1.5 inch doll head, a 1 inch wooden ring, a hat I got at Hobby Lobby, and a pumpkin pick I got at Dollar Tree. Now Dollar Tree has the little hats too. You can use a smaller bead, but you will have to take the center out. And then you could just use a regular bead. Now you can use a regular bead on this one too if you can find one that's 1.5 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use E6000 glue and hot glue to hook this all together. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my ring to the pumpkin. And that's just one of the pumpkin picks where you get like 5 of them in a pack on there on sticks. And I just pulled my stick out. And then use a little bit of hot glue in there with it just to hold it together while it dries. And then I'm going to take my doll head and I'm just going to put the round part into the hole. And I'm just going into the center part of this ring to put glue. And I'm using E6000 glue and hot glue on this one as well. And I'm using the round end. Next, I'm going to cut my faux fur for the beard, and I'm going to cut it at 1 inch by 1 inch. And then I'm just going to go around in a U shape, cutting behind the faux fur only. Okay, next I'm going to put some glue at the very top of this doll head, the flat part, and I'm just going to go ahead and attach my hat. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my beard right up to the edge of that hat. And then I'm going to add a 10 millimeter half bead for his nose. And I'm going to show you, if you stopped at this point right here, I'm just going to show you what this would look like, but it's going to be a different color pumpkin. Okay, that would be super cute on a tiered tray. You could use it as a place setting during Thanksgiving, but that's what it looks like if you just stop at this point. Now, if you keep going, we're going to go ahead and add some legs. I'm taking a 6-inch dowel stick. I sharpened both ends, and I'm going to cut these at 2.5 inches in length each. And these are going to be for his legs. Okay, next for his shoes, I'm going to take some Craft Smart light brown clay to make his shoes. And I'm going to take a piece of foil. I'm going to fold up a little 3/4 inch nut inside of here. And this is going to be for the weight. And then I'm just going to take my clay, I'm going to roll it out into a ball, and then I'm going to flatten it out and just put it around here. These shoes are super simple. There's not a lot to these. You're just kind of making a ball with a rounded toe. Just kind of squish it out there and then just put that nut right down in the middle and then just get it wrapped up. Peel off any excess and then just roll it up in a ball. And then I'm just going to flatten it, and then I'm just going to curve the front, flatten the back, and curve the front. Just kind of smooth it out a little bit, and then just put your dowel stick down in it. And do the same thing with the second one. Then we're going to bake them at 275 degrees for 25 minutes. Okay, now that they're done, I'm going to take some bacon bond and I'm going to add a little bit to each one of those little holes, and I'm going to put my stick down in it. Just make sure your stick sticks straight up. It doesn't lean back. Check it from the side, the top, and the front. And then we're going to take a little rope of the clay, wrap it around just to reinforce that stick sticking up. Just kind of smooth it out in the back. And then we're going to rebake these at 275 degrees for 15 minutes. And it does darken your clay just a little bit. Okay, this is option number 2. We're going to go ahead and cut our dowel stick, just probably about maybe 1.5 inches. And we're just going to go ahead and put it right up into our little pumpkin. And he's just going to have little short legs. And if you put your stick into the wrong hole, you can just take another dowel stick and stick it up in there to fill that hole. I learned that on this one because I had the legs in the wrong place. And then go ahead and glue them in. And this is how cute he looks with just little legs and no arms. This is an option 2 that can be used on a tiered tray or anything else.
Enjoying the video so far, be sure and give me a like. It really helps my channel. Thank you.
Now for the full version, we're going to make his arms, and I'm just going to cut my wire at 2¼ inches in length. And I'll give you the link for this wire down in the description below. Then take the end and just curve it. You're just going to make a little circle at the bottom of them. For the pants, we're going to take a piece of fabric that measures 2½ by 3½, and we are going to hem up 2 of the short sides and 1 of the long sides. And then to close it up, we're just going to fold the raw side over. We're going to put a little bit of glue on it. And then go ahead and take your side that's finished and fold it over. Just make sure you don't get it glued shut. And do the same thing for the other leg. Okay, next we're going to measure our stick, and we're going to mark a mark at 1¼ inches from the top. And that's how much is going to go up into the pumpkin, and the rest of it's going to be his legs. And then go ahead and put your little sleeve over to the top part of your leg. And then just put a little bit of glue in the back just to hold it in place. And do that on both of them. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and put them up into the pumpkin, kind of centered on both sides. And then make sure he stands up good, and then we're going to pull the legs back out and we're going to glue them in. He's going to have little slouchy pants, so they're going to kind of be gathered up. Okay, then make sure you pull the pants down to that line that you drew, and then we're going to add some glue and put his leg up in there. And that'll give him enough part of the leg inside the pumpkin to make him stay good. Then we're just going to poke a hole into the pumpkin for his arms. And then actually the part that's curved is going to be the part that goes into the pumpkin. Okay, for his arms, we're going to take a piece of fabric that measures 2¾ by 1¾ Okay, then we're going to hem up both of the short ends and 1 of the long end. Okay, and then just like the pants, we're going to fold over the raw edge, and we're going to glue the opposite side to it over the top. So your finished edge will cover up the raw edge. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other one. Just make sure you don't get it glued together inside. Okay, then we're just going to go ahead and put our wire down inside of it, and then we're going to go ahead and attach our bead to the opposite side. So the curved side will be opposite of the bead. And then do that same thing with the opposite one. Then when we get our wires put in here, we're going to glue the end to the fabric where the wire is. Just put a little bit of glue up there in the top and kind of squeeze that together. Using another sharpened dowel stick to go ahead and poke the hole a little bit bigger to attach his arm. Just kind of squeeze it together, bend it down a little bit, and just attach it. And when you get it exactly where you want it, we're going to go ahead and glue it in, and then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Okay, just go ahead and push your dowel stick on in there, and figure out exactly where you want that next arm, and then we're going to glue it in as well. Okay, and that's how he turned out. If you want to do the complete gnome, I think he's super cute. For this one, I'm just going to take a pine cone, a small one, and I'm going to put it down on my desk, and I'm going to put my hat on, figure out where it's level so it sets up straight. Then I'm going to take a piece of faux fur, and I'm going to cut it at 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch. And then I'm just going to make a U shape around there, cutting behind the faux fur only. Then we're just going to attach our beard to the front part of the hat. So just put a little bit of glue in the front part of the hat, and then just go ahead and put your beard on up there. It's probably only up there, probably maybe 1/4 inch. And then we're just going to attach our nose right to the front part, right up next to the hat. For his legs, we're just going to take 4 little beads, and we're going to take some jute. I cut off one little strand, and I'm going to hold it at the top, and then I'm going to wrap my other jute around it. Now that's just a piece of cardboard that measures 1.5 inches wide. And I'm wrapping it around about 11 times, and this is going to make a tassel. And then just cut it off, and then go ahead and tie the top part of your string up at the top just to hold all that together. And just go ahead and tie it in a knot. And then we're going to go ahead and pull it off of our cardboard, and then we're just going to cut the little loops open. And we're going to trim it all up here in a second too. Okay, then I'm going to take another piece of jute, and I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm going to go ahead and tie it in a knot, and then I'm going to wrap it around a few times and tie it back off in a knot. And then go ahead and we're going to trim that off, and then we're going to trim our tassel. Okay, then I'm going to add just a little bit of glue to hold these 2 strings together at the top so that they'll easily go through my beads. And I'm just going to string 4 beads on each one. You can use whatever size beads you want. I'm pretty sure that these were like a 12 millimeter. And you're going to make your other tassel exactly the same way. Okay, once you have them ready, we're just going to wrap them around the pine cone, and we're going to tie them off in the back. So just go through the little pine part and go to the very, very back and tie that into a knot. Set it up on top of something and figure out where you want your beads exactly, and glue the front part in so that they stay in the front. Go ahead and clip off the part that's hanging out the back, the leftover jute, and then we're just going to tuck it in with some tweezers and glue it in. Just kind of push it on down in there where you don't see it. And then put a little bit of glue in there. Build up the top part where we're going to put our hat. I'm just taking a piece of pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to roll it up into a coil. Just big enough for that hat to sit inside of. And then I'm just going to glue it to the top part of my pine cone, and this is what the hat will actually grab onto. And then we're going to glue our hat right to the top part of that. These all turn out super cute. You could put these on a tiered tray or anything. They'd be great in a little centerpiece, even on a wreath. Okay, to start with, we're taking a 2 1/4 inch pool noodle and cutting it at 4 1/2 inches in length. Okay, then I got this straw hat at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to cut it a little bit shorter, or not so round, so that you can see his beard once you get it on. And I'm just kind of zigzagging a little bit around it, just kind of making it look a little bit worn out. And then I'm going to cut the top part off, and I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter here in a minute too. So I'm going to come down pretty good bit on this one, because I am going to run his hair through the top part. Just go a little bit shorter. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the hair. And I just want to show you real quick, if you have fur that kind of gets wrinkled and stuff like that and it makes waves in it, just take your blow dryer and just kind of rub it down here like this. And I have mine on a medium setting, and it should straighten all that out if you have fur that, like if you fold it or anything like that, which I do sometimes. Next, I'm just going to trace my noodle onto my faux fur on the backing part of it. And then I'm just going to cut this circle out, and that's what I'm going to use for the top of his head for his hair. And I'll give you the link for this fur if you want this. This is the same one that I used on my Highland cow. And then I'm just going to glue it right to the top. Next, for the shirt, I'm taking an 8 3/4 inch wide by 6 1/4 inch tall piece of fabric, and I am going to glue a hem on the 8 3/4 inch side and one of the 6 1/4 inch sides. Okay, then we're going to make a casing at the top to draw it up. So just take a piece of string, fold this over about a 1/2 inch, and then glue it down. Now try not to get glue on your string, otherwise you won't be able to draw this up. Just kind of take your time on this part and just kind of make sure that you do get it past that string and that you tuck that string on in. This is easier than if you, unless you want to sew a casing, you can just sew that on there as well. And then we're going to go ahead and draw it up a little bit. I'm going to cut off one side and glue it in. And then I'm going to go ahead and overlap it, and I'm going to start gluing it down. So just go ahead and fold it over the finished edge over and glue it to the unfinished edge. And then go ahead and place it over your pool noodle, and then we're going to start drawing it up. And we're not going to draw it up a lot. There's not a lot of give in this. I just wanted to be a little bit looser on the body than being snug with it. So that's why I did it this way. Just kind of get it even with the pool noodle, and then just start pulling it tight, and then go ahead and start gluing it down. You don't even have to tie that off. Just kind of just get it in there while it's pulled tight. And then go ahead and glue that in, and then cut that off. Okay, next I'm just going to take a piece of jute twine, and I'm going to tie it around the waist, and I'm going to tie it off to the side. Somebody's in my video. And then just go ahead and cut that. Well, we're not going to cut it off yet, so go ahead and pull it on down so it's right at his waist. So put your hat on, pull it on down, and get it right down to the waist area. Next, I'm going to take some faux fur, and I'm going to cut it at 1 3/4 wide by 2 1/4 at long. And then I'm just going to go in a U shape all the way around. Now, if that's not the measurement that it looked like it was on the ruler, I did change it up a little bit. So go by the measurement I just gave you. And then go ahead and clean off the excess. Okay, next I'm just going to attach the beard right up to the top edge, opposite the side of where the seam in the back is. And I'm just going to glue that right onto it, onto the fabric. Just make sure your seam's in the back. Okay, next I'm taking a 1/4 inch by 10 inch dowel stick, and I'm going to sharpen one end of it. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick it right through the side, and this is going to be for the arms. And we are going to cut them a little bit short here in a minute, but just go ahead and stick it right through there. It should poke right through your fabric and right through your noodle all the way to the other side. That way you'll make sure that your arms are straight across from each other once you get your arms put together. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut off the pointy edge, and then I'm going to cut these a little bit shorter. Now, cut them where they're 2.5 inches on each side, because I did cut them a couple of times. I started at 2 3/4, then I went to 2.5. Go ahead and do it at 2.5 now, otherwise you're going to have to pull the sleeve up and do it then. Okay, next I'm just going to take 2 little 5/16 inch nuts, and I'm just going to put it on each side of my little sticks, and then I'm going to glue those in, and that's what's going to hold that stick in place and keep it from coming out. Just make sure that your measurements are equal on both sides, and you do only have 2.5 inches sticking out from each side. Okay, next we're going to make the sleeves. It's a 2.5 by 3.5, and I'm going to hem up the 2.5 inch sides on both sides, and then one of the 3.5 inch side. And then I'm just going to fold this into thirds and glue it over. Just so fold that one in a third, and then fold the other one over the top of it, because we're going to slide these over the little stick here in a minute. And do the same thing with the opposite arm. And then we're just going to slide them right up over the sticks, and we are going to glue them to the nut. And then glue the bottom of it as well. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing with the opposite arm. Okay, then we're going to take some raffia, and we're just going to kind of make a little bundle, and I'm just going to put a little rubber band around it. Just enough to get up into the sleeve, and I'm just going to cut it off it's probably about 1.5 inches. And I'm going to cut 2 of those for both of his hands. And then we're just going to stick them right up into his sleeves. And then I didn't show you to glue these in. I went straight to tying them in, but go ahead and put a little bit of glue inside of his arm to hold those in place. Kind of bunch it up in there until you get to the end of that stick, and then just tie that off. But do add some glue first. And then do the same thing with the opposite arm. And I'm tying mine in 2 knots, and then go ahead and clip it off. And then just go ahead and cut his belt down to the end of his jacket. Next, I'm going to take a cork, and this is how I'm going to make him stand up. I'm going to take a dowel stick, sharpen it, and that's 1/4 by 6 inch, and I'm just going to twist it till it goes down into this cork. And that's a synthetic cork. And then I'm just going to glue that in, and that's how I'm going to make him stand up. And then I'm going to take 2 more dowel sticks, sharpen them for his legs. Okay, next we're going to make the legs. We're taking a 4 inch wide by 4 1/4 inch tall piece of fabric, and we are going to hem up 1 long side and 2 short sides. Now I cut my fabric on the edge of the fabric, so I didn't have to do one of my sides on this one, but if you didn't, you need to go ahead and hem up 3 sides. And then we're just going to fold these over 3/4 of an inch until we get to the opposite side to glue that over. So 3/4 of an inch, and just keep rolling it till you get to the opposite side, and then we're going to glue it together. So you're just making like a little sleeve. And then just go ahead and glue down that one side, and then do the same thing with the opposite leg. So it's like a tube. For his feet, we're just going to do the same thing with the raffia. We're just going to take 2 little bundles, wrap little rubber bands around them to hold them together, and then we're going to cut these off at 3.5 inches. Just get enough in there where they do, you know, it's got a pretty good bit and you can still get it inside his pant leg. And then I'm taking another bundle, and this is what's going to cover up the stick, and I'm going to cut it about 7 inches. And next, go ahead and put your leg into there, put your raffia in there, and then we are going to glue that in. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put his legs in at a diagonal, kind of facing outward on both sides, so that we can get that other stick down into the center to go ahead and mount him on our pumpkin. And just go ahead and put your stick on up in there, and then we're going to test fit it into the pumpkin so we can make sure that we get our legs exactly where they need to be before we glue them in. And I'm just going to take the top part of my pumpkin off. I'm going to take a hot glue gun, put it right down in the center to open up the hole, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, and then I'm going to add some weights down into the bottom of this pumpkin. And I'm just going to take a stick and kind of waller it out so I can get the weights in there. And these are just 5/16 inch nuts. I'm just pushing them down in here, and I'm using about 5 of them in this. Now push them way down in there. You can get them to go in there, but you are going to have some weight. Then just cut a piece of felt out and just cover up the bottom and glue it on. That way you'll hold in those little nuts. Okay, now go ahead and take your legs back out, and we're going to glue these in. Okay, now take that same jute that you tied around the arms and just go ahead and tie it around the bottom of his legs. Okay, pull his hair on up on top, and then go ahead and put some glue all the way around the top edge, and we're going to go ahead and put the hat on. And then I'm going to spot glue it in the back and then on both sides as well. Okay, then for his nose, I'm just using a 15mm bead, and I'm just going to glue it right to the beard, and I'm going to cover up the top hole with the top of the hat and the bottom hole with his beard, and just go ahead and glue that hat right down to that nose. Okay, then I'm going to take that raffia that I had made earlier, the 7-inch one, and I'm just going to cover up the stick, and I'm just going to glue that right up to the top part of that part of the stick and let it come on, drape on down. That way you don't see that stick sticking out, and then when we attach it to the pumpkin, we can kind of blend it in. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a piece of jute around the bottom part of it just to hold it all together. But I did glue the top part in already. That way you don't just see the stick sticking through there. Or you could paint it, either one, but it'd look better like this. Then I'm just going to go ahead and attach this to the pumpkin. Put a little bit more glue in there because it needed a little bit more. And then I'm going to trim the raffia kind of up to where the pumpkin is. All right, that was pretty easy. He's a pretty simple little guy. Okay, I think that one turned out super cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which one's your favorite today? If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome.